Look, the last weekend of League of Legends here in North America has been the culmination of, quite honestly, just tensions and problems everywhere, boiling over at one time. And of course, the video that I'm finally going to talk about all that, I'm obviously sick with a cold. So please bear with me as I probably sound a lot deeper than I normally do on this. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I don't know. I haven't even heard myself yet. Let's actually start with the end of the week and work our way back, which concluded with Shopify Rebellion getting beat by Red Cannons 3-2 in their series, moving on to face 100 Thieves in the qualification match for Worlds. So there's a realistic chance now that we could see an LTA South team, or well, two teams, qualify for Worlds whenever North America only gets one slot. And look, I'm not going to be mad at that because ultimately I still believe to this day that all three slots should not be guaranteed from just domestic play in any way, shape, or form. Or, well, not all three, but the top two. Like FlyQuest and Vivo should not have slots guaranteed. We should have just had 8 teams, like the top 4 from each conference, come together and play a full double elimination bracket with all 3 slots open and available. If North America loses all of them, congrats. You know what? North America loses all of them. If you want true cross-conference play, that's what you do. You don't do this protection where one conference is guaranteed to get slots and the other isn't. No, like you just open this thing up fully, and we have to deal with the repercussions of that for either side if that were to happen. But I think this Shopify loss does spell more problems than people. I mean, I'm assuming everybody knows that like this is problematic that our 3rd seed lost to the LTA South 2nd seed when we should assumedly be beating everybody from what we as North America have considered a minor region for a long period of time. This loss is arguably worse than the 100 Thieves versus R7 one. I'm just saying it legitimately is. Like you're losing to like 2nd and further beyond seeds from quote minor regions. Yeah, it's way worse. So I better not hear a Shopify fan ever come at my neck ever again on that front. But it's not just the loss that's problematic, it's how they lost. Shopify Rebellion got to the point where they did off the back of Palafox honestly struggling in mid lane, but he was still good enough to get us there. Fudge had an incredible split. Most improved player, which I think it's an award that he's won multiple times. B-Boy stepping up, but all of these players got crushed individually at various points in this series. Red Cannons won this by being a better laning team, and then as long as they didn't chuck the team fights later, they were fine. I mean, they just straight up beat our ass at the bare basics of this game. And that should be terrifying for a lot of people, especially given that, yes, we are importing way more than Brazil is. Like, way, way more. If we can't, like, imagine what this playoffs would look like if you took out all the imports and just relied on domestic talent. Now, that's not saying that Brazil doesn't import, but our region obviously imports at a much, much higher capacity. And I do agree with Jungle Juice that player development is like the clear, like, oh God, what happens here? Because like all the conversation from the series has gone on to Palafox. Like, I cannot believe Palafox is still on this team. He needs to be gone. He needs to be this. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on what needs to happen with the league later. But like, tell me what mid laner without importing that you want to replace him with. Half of the comments will have an answer because they follow NACL, like the 3,000 people that actively follow NACL, and the rest will have zero clue and they'll just say, well, I'd rather import anyways. And it's like, that's the problem. We don't have enough, not just attention. Like, I pay a little bit of attention to NACL. I've got too many other things going on to make content about it or like really kind of invest my time into it. But everybody that I've talked to in the space has come out and said, yeah, we legitimately are going to have a player problem here soon. We don't have enough people coming up from NACL. We have not encouraged enough young people to want to play this game, to develop out the tier 2 scene. Like, it's going to be a problem. And if Brazil's already better than us and they have a much better tier 2 system than we do, yeah, you can read the writing on the wall that we could be in trouble here sometime soon. And North America is going to take a big hit. But hey, congrats to Red. They deserve that win. It's just scary from a North American fan point of view when you add that onto the second thing that we need to talk about, which is viewership from Split 3 compared to summer of last year. And I know from the jump, like, people are going to come out and be like, oh, it's not an apples to apples comparison. We don't have like the final weeks of playoffs. Look, I remember watching this number pretty heavily last year. Finals weekend did not skew the numbers up all that high. There were enough hours that it remained for the most part stable, even when you got to that finals weekend that did see the elevated peak and it brought up the average a little bit. So yes, while we are affected by that a little bit, you also cannot include this portion of cross-conference playoffs because that number, without paying for it, I ain't going to be able to split out the English viewership versus the Portuguese viewership. And the English viewership for North America is what I ultimately care about because we are not selling a product to Portuguese speaking viewers. We are selling it to English speaking viewers. That is the United States and Canada market. That's our whole intent behind this league. So those are the only numbers that matters. And we're down. Like we are heavily down, which once again shows that the LTA was a failure in its first year, especially for the domestic parts. Like even though the cross conference play might be fun now, we don't get enough of it. And there's just too many other problems that are existing within the space. So rather than just like sit here and rant, because I know that's what Double's video was about, Dom reacted to that video as well. Got a nice mention from him, which clearly means that the rebrand is working if he was able to say Shynock without a problem. But here's exactly what I want for next year. First and foremost, I want to go to a LCK style of play. I want to see 4 to 5 days of games per week. And I'm willing for the majority of those to be online. I do not care so long as we get more games played each and every split. By not playing games in what is assumedly, this number has probably only gone up since inflation has taken this figure since Avali said it back in like 2021. It's like $50,000 a day to be in the studio. And somebody said on Twitter the other day, this can't be verified, but I'm just throwing this out there, that apparently the cost to be in like that side stage closet is not all that much different than being in the studio. So yeah, I have zero problem cutting out some days there than being in the closet. Like take the money that was with every single day of like that closet play and put us online. If we can be in the studio, and Valorant obviously is going to get priority here in North America, like fine. The days that we can be in there, we'll be in there. But otherwise, be online and guarantee that we can get 4 to 5 days a week of games. Format-wise, go to the LCK. Make it simple. Screw all this pick and play stuff, screw anything else. We clearly are suffering as a region, as many other people have pointed out, because we are not playing enough games, okay? It hurts us, and I'm scared for what Worlds is going to be like as a result of that. So next year, I do want to see more games played. The problem with all this becomes I don't know the right answer and the right way to integrate the North and the South entirely to make this work to the point where we play more games between the two. We are like, people don't understand how far away Brazil is from LA. It's the same distance as going to the LEC studio in Berlin. That's how big of a difference we're talking about here. And culturally, we are way closer as North America to Europe than we are to Brazil. So like, there's not really a rivalry or anything that we can build here. And it doesn't make trying to play cross-conference games easy. We're being forced into this situation. So honestly, like the thing that I would say is, I know we want to have things separate, but I think what you do is you only bring them together at the very end. All right. Like that sucks as an answer because we're being forced into this like merger thing. Bring back the LCS branding, bring back the CB LOL branding, let the two play exclusively within their domestic regions until this point at the end of the year, but make it, as I said at the beginning of the video, a full 8-team double elimination bracket, similar to what the LPL does once they get to like that stage. Like that's what you got to do. And those 3 slots for Worlds for our region are all up for grabs. Like I think that would be fun. You're building towards this like hype moment that crosses at the end of the year, because otherwise I can't think of a feasible or understandable way to make that work within a domestic format that allows us to play more games. Now, there is one other thing that I would say. So it's bring the LCS and CBLOL branding back. Cross-conference play is expanded, but just isolated to the end of the year specifically. More games in an LCK style format for next year. But on top of that, in order to make this work so games don't get redundant, repetitive, and annoying within the LTA structure, because we only have 8 teams and CBLOL, I think you need to expand both regions or both like conferences to 10 teams. Right? I know that might not be like the popular answer for Riot, because they're sitting here like, oh, but that means we're gonna have to divvy up the global revenue pool by 4 additional teams. Well, if you want these leagues to survive, period, you'll take that little bit of hit. You just will. And you already have mechanics in how you distribute the global revenue pool to make sure that you can distribute it to the teams that are performing well versus not. And if you're a bottom performing team in a bad region, you're already going to get way less money anyways. And these are the assumed performing worst regions. So yeah, I don't know what else you want from me, but you need 10 teams if you want more games to work without it feeling really, really, really redundant. Plus, that gives more people opportunities in the space, has the chance, maybe at least, of us getting more North American talent that we can start growing, even though I know that's more of a tier two problem, but at least like getting some more of them up in tier one, like shows people that, hey, you will have a potential to get a job here versus the 8 teams where it's like teams are just going to try to import as much as they can. Grandfather rule, you name it. Like there's there's so many problems that I'm not even touching on. Jesus. But I think those are my big points. Like those are the main things I want to focus on. I don't want to overload everything. And the final thing that we got to touch on. I don't like dealing with drama necessarily, but this is a topic that my name has been kind of brought up in a few times. Arsh deleted a tweet last night that I caught this morning before he deleted it, that he might be stepping away from the space. Look, Arsh is a very controversial figure in the North American space, and I've had my issues with him, obviously. Most people remember the Blabber situation where I called him out, and we had a conversation privately, briefly, but I'd rather keep things public, as I always say, because I don't want my words in private being taken out of like I'd rather have everything said in the public space, regardless of what attention that brings to all of us. But we are all ultimately like seeking attention on the internet anyway. So just like handle our shit in public, and it's just going to be better for everybody involved. So we're transparent with the situation. But politics got involved because of the Charlie Kirk assassination this past week, and tensions boiled over into the weekend, as Arsh has obviously been very outspoken on his political beliefs. And it led into a whole conversation around things, which Arsh then made like a joking tweet that should not have been made in any capacity. That LCS EV respond, like I'm not here to recap all the drama. Just know like the end result of this was LCS EV putting out a tweet saying that Arsh should leave the space, which is an opinion that I know because I've seen it in replies that many people share. So it got pushed around and people were actively wanting him to leave. And the thing that I would tell everybody is this: you don't have to like people in this space, but you need to look at their baseline actions of what they contribute to see if they're good or not. And Arsh contributes a lot to the space that is positive. Am I defending his actions at points? Absolutely not. No. I've had my gripes, talked about him before. I think this was around like Thanksgiving time, of like, hey, you need to start conversations in a better way. Like coming from a married man, trust me, how you start a conversation impacts how long you're going to have it and how vitriolic the conversation can be. That wasn't listened to, and I get it, but he is still young. All right. A lot of people in this space are young, and I know that we all want to hold grudges against each other and divide each other. And the common thought, at least in North American esports, is if I disagree with somebody, I want to push them out of the space entirely. And LCSEV apologized. He's not the arbitrator. He doesn't get to decide that. The community gets to decide that. Who you decide to give your eyes and attention to are ultimately, you are the arbitrator of everything. But I just want to reiterate this message that I've said a few times. Sports, esports, like these are activities that we want to try our best to unify everybody. I know that won't happen because politics has invaded quite literally everything that we do, because it has become about identity politics, understandably. But we need to do our best that when we're having these conversations in the space, to try and be as productive about them as we can, not assuming things onto large groups of people, not just grouping everybody together. If you're going to have conversations with people, have them with intent and have them in a productive manner. Look, I spent an entire week down in Myrtle Beach golfing with people that were entirely politically opposed. But you know what? We found common ground, and you have to spend 5 hours with each other. So you're going to do it, and you got to make the most of it. And I think that's something that we need to learn in this space very, very quickly, especially as the community is starting to eat itself alive with what is left. Find common ground, which is our love for North America, and push it from there. I don't want to see anybody leaving the space. The amount of hate that people get sucks. Trust me, I get some of it myself. It's annoying. But it also does come with the territory, because we do have to be mindful of what we say and whether what we say is going to instigate fires or put them out. I've come at Riot a lot over the last few weeks for decisions that are being made, and I'm well aware that that will have its consequences, including I did not get a ballot for LTA All-Pro this year. This is the first time I haven't voted for it in like 4 years, which I don't even think I was supposed to get it during Split 2 or Split 1 of this year. But because so many co-streamers didn't vote, I ended up voting as well. So like I kind of saw this coming, but like I'm also aware that like that could potentially be, you know, part of the reason why. And I accept that. When you go at Daddy Riot, or when you go at like to the people in the higher ups, like I understand that that can have its consequences. But at the end of the day, I'm taking actions that I believe are better for the space, and I'm trying to unify people in ways that I see fit, which is like the localization of esports, the push for like the LTA, and like a better product going forward. Those are things that I think no matter what our backgrounds are, no matter what we believe in, we can all come together around and hopefully grow a community around. I just don't want to see us eating ourselves alive, because let's be honest, we have structural problems that we need to all come together to help solve rather than fighting each other in the public eye, regardless of whether drama leads to bigger views or not. Those are temporary views, not permanent ones, even if they can be launching. I'm not trying to get into the intricacies of that conversation. That's it. I'm wrapping this up. Let me know your thoughts on everything in this video. I'll be in the comments to have the conversation and make sure everything's calm. See you around.